Hi, I'm Movie Man. I'm an octopus who reviews movies, and today's review is going to be on
7, 6, 11, 5, 4, 17, 32 the day.
Not only was this a movie that I was really looking forward to, but this film just so happened to be my most anticipated movie of the whole year. Yeah, me personally, I was really looking forward to this one. Um, like, now, starting things off, that original 28 Days Later from like over 20 years ago now, that movie is an absolute classic. Like, I rewatched it for myself in preparation for 28 years, and oh man, I have forgotten how absolutely brilliant of a movie 28 Days Later is. Like, 28 Days Later is just an absolutely phenomenal movie. Like, honestly, it's probably one of my favorite zombie films of all time. And yes, I know there was the sequel a few years later, 28 Weeks Later, which, me personally, I actually do really like 28 Weeks Later as well. Now, personally, it's definitely not on the same level as 28 Days Later for me, but I still do think Weeks is a good movie in its own right. Now, it is a shame that we never got a 28 months later. I'm pretty sure there was a plan at one point to do a 28 months later, but sadly it seems that never ended up coming to fruition. But now it's been quite a few years since both of these movies released. Like, it's been about 23 years since 28 Days Later came out, and it's been 18 years since 28 Weeks Later came out. Yeah, it's been like about 2 decades since we got a movie in this franchise, but now 2 decades later, we are finally getting the third movie in this franchise with 28 years later. And yeah, I am aware that this new film is actually intended as the start of a new trilogy, which honestly, it's great to finally get another movie in the franchise after all these years. But also coupled with the fact that you have like a lot of the team from the original movie back, like you've got Danny Boyle back directing it again. You've got Alex Garland back writing it again. You've got Andrew McDonald back producing it again. And of course, those three great men also worked on my all-time favorite movie, Sunshine. So, yeah, seeing these three back together again, working on the new 28 movie, it made me pretty happy, not gonna lie. So, yeah, it's pretty much just no wonder why this was my most anticipated movie of the whole year. But yeah, 28 years later, came out there, like almost a week ago now, as of the day that I'm recording this, which the day that I'm recording this review is June 26th, but yeah, the movie came out there almost a week ago now, but yeah, I went to see it for myself. In fact, I actually have been to see it twice because the day after I saw this movie on the 20th, I actually went to go and see it again, would you believe? Yeah, I saw the movie twice, and me personally, I really, really enjoyed it. Now, is it my favorite movie of the year so far? No, that's still Sinners for now, but I will say this movie is definitely up there. This is definitely one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Yeah, honestly, I had a great time with it regardless. But anyway, now getting into my actual thoughts on the movie, since we're 6 minutes into this review and I still haven't actually started discussing my thoughts on the movie itself yet. But first off, the cinematography. Now, I have to say, I really like the cinematography in this film. One thing I love is that, as well as getting back the original director, the original writer, and one of the original producers, you also got back the cinematographer from the first movie as well. And like, if you've ever seen that first 28 Days Later, then you'll obviously know, like, it was like shot on like a very low budget digital camera. Like, if you go back and you rewatch that first movie, like the budget of the camera that they filmed it with, like, it's quite low budget, alright. And they kind of do something a bit similar here, because what I find really interesting is that this movie was actually shot using iPhones. Yeah, that's right. Apparently, they got like over like 20 iPhones or so, and like kind of put them all together into this thing, and that's how they filmed this movie. Yeah, I know. Would you believe it? That's actually pretty crazy. But honestly, I have to say, it's definitely a very unique way of filming a movie. And me personally, I thought they did a really good job with it. Like, it's honestly a very well shot movie now. I will say, like, if you've seen either of the previous two films, then you pretty much know, like, how over the top the cinematography can get. Like, trust me, the cinematography can be, like, all over the place, especially, with the scenes involving the infected. Like, the camera work can get, like, very, like, fast-paced and stuff, and that is absolutely no different with this movie as well. Like, during all the scenes where the infected are, like, attacking people and stuff, like, trust me, the cinematography just goes very over the top and how, like, messy it gets and stuff. But me personally, I thought this really worked in the movie's favor. Like, it definitely, pays homage to those first two movies a lot and how it's shot and everything, but like even like with the fact that this movie is shot using iPhones, I think that just makes it like all the more interesting into how like very fast paced this movie is shot. Yeah. But me personally, I thought like it worked really well. It really gave the movie that sort of personality that those first two movies has. I kind of felt like that was really felt here as well. But yeah, personally, I thought this worked really well for the movie. But yeah, I have to say the cinematography I thought was very good, and I will say I thought the editing in this movie was very good as well. Like, I mean, I already mentioned how fast paced the cinematography can get, and yeah, it's pretty much the same thing with the editing as well. Like, the editing in this movie is just like really fast paced. Like, it's very fast paced editing, and I think it works really well. Like, in terms of like how the movie is edited, like particularly these scenes where we have the infected and our main characters are kind of fighting against the infected. Like, trust me, this movie gets really fast paced during those scenes. I will say, you may not be the biggest fan, like if you're not a big fan of like these real like kind of fast paced moments and stuff. But me personally, I love that because like me personally, this just works so well for the movie. And yeah, it definitely gave it a similar feel that those first two movies had with the infected and stuff. Yeah, it really just helps give personality to this franchise. But yeah, I thought overall it works very well. So yeah, I have to say the editing in this movie was very good too. Now, in terms of the film's pace, this movie has kind of a moderate enough runtime. The runtime is an hour and 55 minutes. I thought the pace works quite well with the movie. Like, the thing with this film is that we kind of have like different things going on and stuff, and I feel like the movie kind of, it takes its time with all these different scenes, all these kind of subplots and stuff. Like, it kind of dedicates time to certain things going on. Like, it feels like there's kind of a first half and a second half of the movie where, like, certain things are going on, certain events will change and stuff. Like, I will say the first half of the movie kind of goes in like one direction, but then during the second half of the movie they kind of move it in a bit of a different direction. But me personally, I thought this worked very well for the movie. Like, I mean, I thought it did a good enough job of like, dedicating its runtime to all these specific scenes in the movie. Like, and even though there is kind of some stuff going on, like, the movie does a good enough job of focusing on certain aspects to where, like, it doesn't feel like it's taking too much time away from other things. It's kind of evenly equaling out its runtime and stuff. So I thought it did well with that. So I thought the pacing in the movie was good. I will say the sound and music in the movie was very good as well. Like, first off, the sound effects are really good. Like, the sounds of the infected and stuff, it's brilliant sound work as always. Even like these other sound effects, like when the arrows are shooting, and even when we get like explosions, and when the infected are kind of like getting at people, biting, devouring and stuff. I think all of that works very well for the movie. And yeah, I will say I thought overall they did a solid enough job with it. Yeah, the sounds work was good, and I thought the music in this movie was quite good as well. Like, honestly, I will say the movie actually had a very good score in my opinion. Like, I will give props to the composer for this movie because they actually did a good job with the score in this film. Like, there's actually some good tracks that we hear in this movie all throughout it. And yeah, overall, it made for a good score. I will say though, towards the end of the movie, there's a certain track that plays. All I'll say is it's actually a track from the very first movie, 28 Days Later. Yeah, I'll be honest, when that track plays towards like the very end of the movie, I really liked it. Like, when that track came on, like, genuinely, I was kind of feeling pretty happy. Like, when I heard it, like, I instantly recognized it as, that song from the original movie. And, yeah, personally, I was very happy to hear it in this film. But overall, like, I thought the sound and music in this movie was genuinely very good. Yeah, I thought it made for a great score in my opinion. So yeah, the sounds and music in the movie is very good. And then coming on to the characters and the performances in this. Now, I'm gonna start off with who is our main character of the movie, Spike. Spike is, he's the kid character, but he actually pretty much serves as this film's main protagonist. Like, you might not think it judging from the trailer, but I'm just gonna let you know here now. He is our main character in this movie. Like, if I have to guess, he's probably going to be our main protagonist in this new trilogy. I gotta say though, I really liked his character. Like, he was honestly a very well written character. Like, he's just trying to survive in this world, and he's being brought out to hunt infected with his father, and I don't want to get too much into his character arc in this movie, but all I'll say is he definitely ends up making for a very compelling lead throughout the movie, and I'm genuinely excited to see where they take his character for all the following movies. And I definitely have to give props to Alfie Williams, who plays Spike, because I have to say, he did a really good job in this movie. Like, he's obviously only like a young actor, like he's pretty much like been given his big break with this film, and yeah, all I'll say is I'm hoping that he gets more roles after this, because he did an absolutely tremendous job in this film. Like, trust me, this kid is going places without a doubt. For his age, he honestly did a fantastic job in this movie. Then, moving on to like the other characters, like we also have his two parents. Like, his father, Jamie, definitely makes for a very interesting character. Like, because basically, he loves to, hunt down the infected, and he even, like, brings along his son so that the two of them can hunt for infected together. And, like, he does make for an interesting character, I will say that much. And, like, overall, I thought that Aaron Taylor-Johnson did a pretty good job playing the character. So I thought he was solid. And then we have Spike's mother, Isla. I gotta say, I really liked her character, to be honest. Like, she definitely has a very interesting arc in this movie, because basically she's suffering like from some kind of illness, and it's kind of taking a toll on her mind a bit. I will say she makes for a really interesting and honestly pretty tragic character as the movie goes on. And I definitely really liked, her like chemistry with her son. Like, I thought the whole dynamic between the two of them worked really well. And yeah, I will say Jodie Comer was really, really good in this. Like, honestly, I thought she did a great job, like, playing this character. Like, she was so convincing in this role. I thought she did really well. And there are a bunch of other kind of side characters, but they're not really like worth getting too much into. The only character who I will talk about is Ralph Fiennes' character. We have Ralph Fiennes in this, and he plays this doctor known as Ian Kelson. Now, he doesn't properly come into the movie until like a bit later on, but I will say I actually really liked his character too. Like, he definitely makes for like a really interesting character. And like, yeah, Ralph Fiennes honestly did a really good job playing the character. Yeah, he was very good in this. And like, I will say the other cast members did pretty well in this, both like the uninfected and the infected. Like, they all did pretty solid for like what screen time they're given. Like, there's this one soldier character in the movie, I thought he was pretty good, and I will say I do like how this movie expands upon the infected a bit. Like, they even established like this new kind of breed of infected called like the Alpha, which is basically way stronger than the ordinary infected, like way stronger, way more intelligent, and like much harder to kill. Um, yeah, I definitely found that aspect of the movie really interesting, and I'm looking forward to how like they expand upon it more in the following films. But yeah, overall the characters and the acting were like really good in this. I thought especially Alfie Williams, Jodie Comer, and Ralph Fiennes were like definitely standouts for sure in this, but yeah, personally I thought everyone put on a good show here and there was some genuinely well written characters, so I am definitely looking forward to seeing how like the later films will expand upon a few of these characters more. But anyway, moving on to the plot of this movie now. This movie takes place, like as the title would suggest, 28 years after this infection has started, when the rage virus broke out. Now, I will say, like, in terms of how this movie expands upon some of those other films, like, the movie definitely, expands upon the events of 28 Days Later a bit, but, like, this movie kinda does seem to ignore 28 Weeks Later a tiny bit. Like, I mean, I'm not sure, like, if 28 Weeks Later has just been completely removed from the canon altogether or what, but, like, yeah, like, if you've seen 28 Weeks Later, you know, like, kind of how that movie ends, yeah. This movie doesn't really expand upon that at all. This movie kind of seems to just ignore the ending of 28 Weeks Later a bit, and it kind of focuses on just telling, its own story. Which, I mean, I don't mind that, but I don't know, I feel like they could have explained things a bit better in that regard in terms of how they kind of expand upon the first two movies. But really, other than that though, like, I do find the plot of this movie really interesting. Like, obviously this movie is meant to be the start of a new trilogy. And I do think the movie definitely does a great job of, kind of doing world building here, basically establishing everything. And, like, yeah, the movie does a very good job of getting you engaged into this new chapter, kind of, showing you our main characters, establishing what this setting is like, and, they explain kind of how the rage virus is working here, and kind of the environment that our characters are having to live in, and I mentioned how like there's kind of a few subplots with some of these characters. Like, I will say the movie definitely does a great job in terms of like getting you interested in watching the next few movies. Like, I think especially with the characters of Spike and Kelson, like, the movie does a great job in terms of getting you interested in seeing how their characters will be expanded upon the later movies. And like, I still think the movie does a great job of kind of, being its own movie, like, in terms of how, like, like it establishes everything, and you kind of know like what's going on, how this world works and stuff. And like it does a great job of getting you invested in the story and these characters to where, you are looking forward to, what's gonna happen next, how everything in this movie is gonna be expanded upon in the later films. But like even in terms of just being its own movie, it does make for a great, intriguing story, like focusing on this character of Spike and basically kind of telling his story of his experience, like living in this world. But yeah, overall, it makes for a great plot, and like it does well on its own terms, and it also has me excited for what's to come next. And like in terms of the narrative structure, the movie has a few subplots, alright. Like it mainly focuses on the character of Spike, but it also dedicates time to a lot of these other characters, like with his father Jamie and his mother Isla and stuff, and we also get the subplot with Dr. Kelson, and even like establishing, what's happened like with the rage virus and with the infected and stuff. There's a fair amount going on in this movie, but the film actually does a solid job of, dedicating time to everything. Like, we see how the virus has evolved and stuff, and like, we kind of see how it impacts these people's lives. But yeah, like, even like in terms of, focusing on all these subplots and how, like, they combine it all together, I thought it was done pretty well. Like, during the first half of the movie, there's more of a focus on Jamie's character, but then during the second half of the movie, it does start to focus more on Spike's relationship with his mother, Isla. And then eventually the subplot with Dr. Kelson comes in, so, there's a fair bit going on, but the movie does a good enough job of dedicating its runtime to everything happening, where, it's very intriguing to watch, but it still has you, looking forward for what's to come next. So I thought they did a great job with that, and, yeah, I will say, this movie's ending is honestly pretty wild. I'm just gonna let you know that. Like, the movie's ending is a bit totally different from the rest of the movie. But like, I do think it's really interesting and kind of seeing like, where they're gonna go next with it. It does kind of have a bit of a cliffhanger ending, I will say, but I do think overall it works pretty well as kind of, like one complete movie. But yeah, overall, I thought they did a very good job with the narrative structure in this movie. Oh yeah, overall, I had a great time with 28 Years Later. Like, honestly, I think it's a great movie. Like, very well shot, very well edited, great pacing, great sound effects, great score, very well written characters, great performances, especially from Alfie Williams, Jodie Comer, and Ralph Fiennes. And like, it has a very intriguing plot, like focusing on these characters and what's going on, and like, it's definitely a really engaging movie where, like, after everything happens in this movie, it has you interested for what's to come next. I know this movie's gotten quite a divisive response, alright. I know a lot of people have really enjoyed it, and others, like, not so much, and I mean, it's fair, there are some small issues I have with the movie, but for the most part anyway, I thought this was honestly a fantastic movie. Like, it may not be my favorite film of the year so far, but it's definitely up there as one of my favorites, alright. But I really enjoyed this one personally, and I know alright that we do have part 2, The Bone Temple, coming out there in January of next year. And after watching this one, I am definitely looking forward to seeing where they take the story from here. But overall, a great movie, and if you do think that you might enjoy it, then I'd say it's definitely worth a watch. So with all that said, I'm going to give 28 Years Later a 9 out of 10. So with that, I'll see you guys next time, and bye.